Hello and welcome everybody to the 18th episode of the Founders Forum. Today's episode will be about Trump and how he is a developer in chief. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I guess they always say that Trump's or any president is the commander in chief, right? But now I guess you can kind of call Trump the developer in chief, and this can date back all the way to his first term when he started building the southern border wall. But now it's really been taken to a whole new level. And if you look even, like way back in the past as Trump, when he was a businessman, he was always he was a real estate developer. He owned the Trump organization and built, casinos, hotels, residential buildings, and commercial buildings, golf courses all over the world. So, he has a pretty big past of developing. Now he's just mostly like licensing his name, but we won't get into that, I guess. But now in his second term, he has really taken it to, you know, basically just giving him the name, the developer in chief. So I guess we can start off, and this isn't in time order, but it's just a list I made. But yeah, we can start off with the removal of the rose garden. So yeah, and this, by the way, will actually tie into things like reasons why I'm not really so fond of what he's doing. And this is only some of the things, but yeah, he the rose garden was right outside the Oval Office. It was a very nice, you know, nice place. There was tulips, roses, all kinds of beautiful flowers. But fortunately, it was ripped up in the beginning of Trump's term and was turned into the Rose Garden Club, which is basically just he just ripped it all up, put pavement all over it, and just put seating, and yeah, that was that. Honestly, it's I mean, cool. The idea of the real Rose Garden Club is cool and all, but it just looked nicer when there's flowers and grass. And Trump claimed that it was hard to stand on for the women with their high heels. It would kind of sink into the grass, especially when it was wet. But I don't know. And people were comparing it to the outdoor seating at Mar-a-Lago. But yeah, so I'm kind of against that, and you know that wasn't also really a big development, but it was there for it was forever. It was always there. Um, the next thing was he tore down the East Wing. Now this was definitely the biggest thing, and yeah, so and like I said, I actually visited the East Wing last August, and it was truly something. It was a lot of history was there. The movie theater was there for all the presidents, and it just all torn down now because that goes into the next thing. Trump plans to develop a ballroom there. So he tore down the East Wing and now wants to put a ballroom there. A $90,350 billion ballroom. And he says because all the past presidents have expressed the need for a ballroom, which is untrue by the way. It's really not. They have plenty of space. Like smaller ballrooms inside the White House or just in the East Wing that they could have used, but fortunately, we had to tear down the East Wing for that. And yeah, it's sad because another thing is that because he tore it down in September right after I visited the place, right, and he fired the architect because the architect told him that what he wants to do cannot physically happen. It's too big. It wouldn't work, and it would actually surpass the actual size of the main White House, the main residence. And so yeah, Trump fired him. It took a while for them to find a new architect because you kind of have to be a yes man, right? You have to always say yes to everything Trump's doing, or he's not gonna hire you. We saw this in the first term. If you said no to him or said something wasn't possible, you get fired. And everybody has to bend down to Trump and just say yes because you might just lose your job. Uh, but yeah, so they found a new architect, and so either something's gonna happen with the size, or the architect's gonna have to get fired or something. And I said this in the last video or the one of the previous ones. If they fire this architect and they can't find another one, that means we just tore down the East Wing for nothing, which is truly devastating because that's a lot of history just thrown in the garbage. And yeah, so I'm against that. For not only just wasting taxpayer money, just it's just not needed. It's just a complete waste. Although I will say it will be cool to see though, if it's completed. Um, what's next? Oh yeah, he's planning to build an arc at the national somewhere at the National Mall. I think it's somewhere near. I forgot where's the exact location, but yeah, it will be located somewhere in the National Mall. Um, I think it's something for the veterans, like it's dedicated to them. Even though he plans to call it, was it the Arc de Trump, something like that. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's it. And so I guess that's and this leads to another thing. They're saying that Trump's putting his name on all these things, right? And which we'll get into the next probably the next topic. But they're saying he's doing things that he wouldn't normally be doing if he wasn't planning on leaving. Because the whole planning to run for the 2028 election, which again I can make another video about that, but we'll just stay on topic for here. Uh, but yeah, he's planning to build an arc. He's gonna call it Arc de Trump, and again another waste of taxpayer money. So I'm against that. Then this was also very popular. He's renovating inside the Oval Office and outside the Oval Office. Like that pathway leading to it. But yeah, there's gold fixtures everywhere, covering every square inch. There's they're saying he found it at Home Depot, which I don't think so, because I mean, really, Home Depot having something like that. But yeah, it's just. I mean, listen. Some people say it looks tacky, and it's just he's trying to make it like his gold penthouse in New York or Mar-a-Lago. I think it looks nice. It's like a nice royal look to it. A more like just a fancier look. Because in my opinion, the White House it always looked nice, but it always looked a little dull in my opinion. So it just, I personally think he's adding to it, and I think it looks nice. So, but then just recently outside, he added the Presidential Walk of Fame, which has all the presidential portraits, and then, of course, there's gold fixtures above everyone, and then most recently, he added plaques under them with descriptions of the president. Of course, he praised himself and went down on all the other like Democrat presidents like Obama, Bill Clinton, and Biden. They said it looks like exactly like the description came exactly from the Truth Social post, and so yeah, I honestly could agree with that. But so yeah, I think that was pretty much unnecessary. So I'm not really sure how to feel about that one, but yeah. Um, then the construction of the southern border wall. They said it's either close to completion or completed already. I'm not really sure. I think it will be because it's not really it's pretty long, but it's not hard to do. And yeah, so that's that. Next thing is Alligator Alcatraz, one of the most controversial developments. It's basically people say it's a concentration camp, but it's really not. It's just a detention center for illegal immigrants that's based on an abandoned airport or runway in Florida. So, and they're saying that it's unnecessary. I mean, the name alone, the name is Alligator Alcatraz. It's because it's surrounded by swamps full of alligators. So if anybody tries to escape, they'll most likely get eaten by an alligator. So, but yeah, I think. I mean, of course, as long as they're not doing anything shady there, or none of them are getting mistreated. Which, listen, of course, these people, like the criminals, deserve mistreatment because they're criminals. But because this is also connected to the CCOT prison in El Salvador. That's a whole other story. Um, so yeah, that's getting a lot of heat because it's very controversial. But yeah, and then the most recent one is the renaming of the Kennedy Center. It's now called the Donald J. Trump Kennedy Center. So, and this is because Trump apparently saved them. Like saved the whole center because I think he restored it. I'm pretty sure, but Yeah, so they're just saying he's, renaming everything, putting his name on everything he can because he's not planning on leaving, which, listen, he doesn't have a choice. It's either he's going to try and he can't legally like run in the 2020 election, right? This is his second term. He used them both up already. So he can't, legally do it. But if he had illegally did it, right? He just stayed in office and, had the National Guard protect him, the people would probably storm in and drag him out. But, yeah, I don't think we would have to worry about that. And of course, Steve Bannon saying that they worked behind the scenes on something. And, Trump was meeting with lawyers to see what they can do. And, there's a conspiracy saying that, if J.D. Vance runs for president, gets elected, and then, you know, Trump runs as his vice president, and then once, they're both inaugurated, then they invoke the 25th, and then, Trump gets to be president again. But that just can't happen, and it's not gonna happen. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything. That's all of uh that's all of Trump's developments and restorations. And by the way, this is just year one, so who knows what else he might have in pocket for the next 3 years if he survives the next 3 years because of his health. But yeah, that's that. That basically concludes today's video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.